Hi everybody, welcome to episode 22. Got really good feedback last week from the longer episode, so we're just going to try the same again. Unfortunately, we've done exactly the same thing. We've missed Monday. I was in for a little bit yesterday, and so was Ed, but we ended up cutting some trees down, doing a bit of work outside, and only a little bit of work in the workshop. So we're going to start today. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think it is now. We've done a few jobs this morning. We've only got in 2 lads in the workshop, and there's Jimmy, who's always busy on the front desk, and tomorrow will be 2 different lads in, and Gary's back tomorrow. Just trying to give people a little bit more of a break really, but we've still got a massive workload, so we still need to get through it. We've extended the offer on the Can Phantom until the 1st of January. I think it was Christmas maybe last time, or the 1st January. 1st January for the Can Phantom offer. I've had really good push with that. A lot of people booking in, and they're getting sort of slots into January, February, March. All you got to do is book and pay for it before the 1st, and then, which will be when this episode comes out on New Year's Day, I think it is, next week. Get it booked in, email, pay your deposit, and once you get a booking date, that's you at the cheaper price of $399 rather than the $499. In the car park today, we've got the Gowland Dawson van that was just in for MOT this morning. Gary didn't have a car to go home in, so he's took the works disco. So I've been using the Mustang over the Christmas. Number plate fell up the front, and I just haven't bothered me backside putting it back on yet, but I will. That's Andy the workshop's car. That's Jimmy's little VRS. Ed's car. We've got just had a recovery in this morning. That Jag over here. So that Jag's in for a misfire. To be honest with you, I don't know if it's petrol, diesel. I've never even looked at the job card yet. But we will get a look at that hopefully tomorrow. That's the Ingenium. That needs the timing chain. That's probably going to end up into an engine. Should have got the chain done when it was a little bit noisy, but unfortunately he's left it a bit too late. We've also got to start to lash down the rain here, so we're going to go back in. But that there's in for EGR, that was just recovered in. Little Mini's just been recovering also. Lots happened actually between the Christmas while we've been off. Little Mini's snapped the timing chain. That's going to need an engine. That's snapped the timing belt. And that's going to need a gearbox. So that one there, slightly over the interval on the timing belt, so it's snapped. But remember I said last time, just keep on top of your service intervals. Any garage you're using, and the lads have locked the door, so they'll have to go in through the reception. But try and keep on top of your service intervals, because if you don't, your car's not getting what it needs, and then it's your bill. Your wallet's going to be the one that's sore, not the car. There's busy Jimmy.
Comes as no surprise.
Comes no surprise that Jimmy is always busy. Don't look in there. Office is absolutely bomb site. I want to go back through reception. So we bought this tool here. I actually seen it on another video. Some guys in America who've got a similar page to ours, a channel. For absolutely no reason at all. They test their staff's grip strength just for the crack. We're going to be a leaderboard and we're going to do it. Everyone's been practicing probably too much today, so our strength's gone down a bit. But I'm going to test all the staff and we're going to see who gets the best score. The person with the best score gets an hour free to do what they want every week. Jimmy, start the clock. Jimmy's not very well today though, so
That's not an excuse, that's worse again, mate. Worse again.
51.1 kgs. Right, let's go to the workshop and let's see what they're doing there. Keep busy, Jimmy. Always busy. Handy pandy. Just while you're upside down, you need to have a go with this machine, mate. Andy's already had a couple of goes, so his strength is down slightly. But you're gonna keep your hand inside, that's the new rule, and just. And you're gonna pull a funny face.
Lowest one yet.
57 flat. Let's have a look. Right. Oh, I forgot actually Paul's in today, so there's more than 2 in the workshop. Right, Taylor, get a hold of this.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Keep it down your side, like that, as much as you can. That's it, pull a funny face, you get more. Alright, don't follow through. 53.3. Right, let's capture Paul. Come on, big grip.
Hell.
51.
51.
Right. I'm going to have a quick go and then I'm going to give it over to Ed. I'll get a hold of the camera. The size of Ed's camera, he should be pretty good at it. 79.6. Right, Ed, give me that. One big Ed. Come on, RoboCop. Boom. 70.05. Oh, well, I get a free hour this week to do with whatever I like. Give that back to you, Ed.
There you go.
Right, we'll stick this over here. Just while walking past, somehow the brightest thing in the world, an ambulance, someone's managed to drive in the back of it and take out the back corner step there. Paul's trying to make do with what he can, I suppose, but it's absolutely mangled, so that used to go there. Now it's at about 300 bits, and I think it looks like that step's been sat in the tine. So we'll try and get the steelwork pulled straight, then we'll just buy a new corner from whoever fabricates them for them. We had a Hilux in last week for Hubway hire. That got some work done on it, and the reverse camera and the radio didn't work, so bought my radio. Paul's going to fit that tomorrow, and there's about 300 adapters here, so there's DAB aerial. That's to add the camera on so you retain the original camera. Aerial, that's through USB, still works in the car. That is for your steering wheel controls, so the customer basically wants it to work exactly like the radio should do. We can't actually buy a brand new one, they're on back order, and that's the fascia to make it look half alright when it's in. That's the same radio as that we've got in the truck. Really good radio actually. I never really listened to the radio, I just plug it straight in my phone, but once your phone's on, you've got full Apple CarPlay, good thing. Golf here, and he's just finishing off now, putting the dash back together. It's had a clutch and a Moss cylinder. This dreaded Range Rover Sport, Dan, whose car this is, absolutely loves it, just always wants it, really up the spec. Came in for MOT, failed on a few things, so he's changing all 4 tyres. They'll be getting serviced at the same time, brake fluid change. I think there's a couple of suspension components that failed on, I'm not too sure. If you're really that bothered, you can just do a history check on it and find out in the MOT. This Transit had a massive oil leak. Something was all corroded, and I think the driver's maybe been hitting something on maybe his building sites. He's took a little chunk out the intercooler here, but it's not leaking. Bottom of the sump was all damaged, filter was leaking. So that's a new sump and a filter put on it. Also had a tyre on here. It's had front pads and rear pads and discs. I think this van is ready to go. I think it's just lifted up just to get the floor clean underneath, and that'll be all done. There was a NEPS fan on here, but that's gone. That was just in front brakes and service. This little Clio, we'll recover this in. This was in for a clutch. It's just literally been put on the lift, and this will be getting stripped tomorrow. Took a couple of things off just to do some quick checks to make sure it wasn't just leaking out the pipe, but it is actually leaking out the bell housing. So you've got a concentric slave cylinder that actually opens and closes the clutch in simple terms. That's done by hydraulic pressure. So the hydraulic line goes into the gearbox, and then as a hard pipe goes down to the centre of the bearing. And a lot of times the seals just fail. So then once they leak, obviously once you lose then you lose pressure. Once you lose pressure, pedal goes to the floor, clutch doesn't work. If that does happen to you, you'll still be able to get the car off the road. You know, just keep it in gear, keep your foot on the throttle, and you'll be all right. And if you half know what you're doing, you'll be able to go through the gears either up or down the box to get off the side of the road, just so you're not sat on the motorway like a plum. G-Wagon, nothing really to do on the G-Wagon because there's nobody in to work on it. Paul normally would be, but he's been doing some electrical work in the building, changed a couple of lights out while it's nice and quiet. It's easy to get all that sort of stuff done while there's not cars flying in out the workshop all day long. And then he somehow managed to get lumbered with pulling the back of that ambulance straight. They need that back fairly soon, so we'll just make do with what we've got, and then that'll be it done. That's all I've got for you today. It'll be back in tomorrow, so me and him will do some more on whatever's going on tomorrow. The jobs that are in at the minute could be possibly very much the same. As I say, we're not actually officially open until next Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's the 4th. But then obviously we'll already be filming the next video then. Oh well, I'll see you tomorrow. Can't wait to see you. Thursday, currently 3:15 in the afternoon. There's been 2 guys in since about 8 o'clock this morning in the workshop. And then I keep saying 2, but there's actually 3. So there's 2 mechanics, and there's Paul. He's in the middle of fitting the head unit on the Hilux. And then there's Gary's in today on the front desk. I've been trying to take this little GoPro with us as much as possible. So I did get some stuff on the way to work. And I didn't realise you push this button twice and it goes into some sort of warp speed. So actually the footage is useless. But I will learn how to use that one day and try and get some better footage. At the minute, we've got this NEPS fan. I think every single video there's an NEPS fan in. Got to be every episode. These people here are busier than Jimmy. It's unbelievable. This came in for somehow came in for the guy said, or the driver said it was a battery fault or a start motor fault. It started every single time, but then we went to go and move off the ramp and the slave cylinder and the gearbox has burst. So actually now it's getting the clutch. Paul's in the middle of fitting this. Hello, Paul.
Paul's fitted this.
Oh, Paul's fitted this, not fitting. I can't remember.
And working.
I can't remember. I used to have 2 big holes in the dash.
It's just a cover to go on the front.
Ah, see. Camera work?
Aye.
All that shit.
But you would never expect a blue and an orange cable to be the blue to be the live and the orange to be the negative, would you?
Well, you think orange fire, wouldn't you?
Aye. As soon as you got say it was red and black.
Good. Yeah, good.
It was.
The man from Del Monte will be happy.
The only thing it doesn't have is it sat nav. You'd have to use like
CarPlay. Yeah.
but everything else is done.
Sound? Boom. Paul's happy with that. I think this ambulance was here yesterday. Nothing moved from here, but this is the one where they've crashed at the back of it. Just literally cable tied it up just because all that had folded up, hit the door so they couldn't open the door. Open that now, need bother. No Jimmy in there today, even though he was looking a bit rough yesterday. This one, that's actually been crashed into as well, but that's not what it's in for. It's in for a leaky radiator. I think the old one's down here. So that is the old one. That sits like that. It's burst on the bottom of here. You can see it's starting to get crusty. It was giving them a bit of a leak. So one of the paramedics had rang us. Never touched Dan's Range Rover yet. That's booked in for first day back, I think, or the first proper day back, which is going to be Tuesday. This is the van that just never stops giving. So this is the van that had the rad weld in. I don't know how many times I've got to say it on this same van, don't put rad weld in your van. So basically you remove that. That's the thermostat, that's full to the brim of rad weld. So there's a new unit there. So that's basically keeping the thermostat shut. So that's obviously just continuing on the problems. We're literally going to have to keep replacing things until the van temperature or the cooling problem is all fixed. This was outside yesterday, it's now in the workshop obviously. So this is a V6 supercharged. When I first saw the bonnet I thought it was the 5 litre, but it's not, it's a slightly smaller one. Still a super cool car actually. This has got a misfire on cylinder 4. So we're going to try and strip some stuff out, just do a quick compression check, make sure we're happy with that. But it is coming up with an injector circuit problem. Quite common. We've never done one of these, but we have done one in another motor. Same engine, a different car for an injector. Something obviously electrically broke down there, gives the misfire. So it switches that cylinder off. If you clear the codes, sometimes you will get it to run on all 6 cylinders. I was going to say all 8 there, but it's not. You'll get it to run all 6 cylinders, and then as soon as the ECU detects a fault, it'll shut that cylinder down to stop any major problems. So this engine here, I'm sure on this V6, if I look, it is, yeah. So on this engine here, it's a V8 engine, and they've basically just took the 2 back con rods off the engine. So you'll probably not be able to see in there, but if you could, you can look down there, and there's basically a hole down here for where the con rod would come through. So basically on a V8 version of that, they literally just put a longer cylinder head on, and then another con rod and a piston in. So they use it's a V8 block, V8 crank, all that sort of stuff. That's why it looks as if that engine's far forward, but it's not. If you look, the block is actually still further back. There's a boring piece of information for you. Callum's literally just put the clutch into this. We did suspect it was going to be a pipe. I thought it was going to be easy fix, but it wasn't in the end. It was a cylinder in the gearbox. So Callum's just put that gearbox back in. You've got to take this little bit of subframe out here. They're always a bit of a nightmare. There's a bolt in here that spins. It's a captive nut. It's obviously supposed to go together once in the factory, and after that, Renault obviously don't care what happens to it. But this one did spin. So we've managed to get it with the Stanners heater, heat the nut up, managed to get that out of there, and you take that little piece of subframe out here, and then that leaves the big hole there for the gearbox to come out. Callum's just nipped everything up, all the bells and bolts back in. It looks pretty much ready to go. But we did notice that when we health checked the car, that the pads is pretty much nearly down to the metal. Discs are pretty rough, so there's some pads and discs there. So Callum will sort that clutch out. You put them pads and discs on before he wheels it up, and then he'll take it on its merry way for a test drive. For inside today, I think that's about it. Me and Ed will have a quick wander outside. This is G-Wagon corner. This is just too much stuff here to all wheels off the G-Wagon. So, because quite normally the staff don't park in this car park, but there's a few staff cars in because, well, it's Christmas, it's not as busy in the car park. Paul's got the Phantom van there, the cheeky little Phantom plate. I brought the M4 to work this morning. I did, like I say, do something on the GoPro, but that ended up being nothing at all. We recovered that yesterday and put a clutch master cylinder on it. Tricky little job to get in. Obviously it's behind the clutch pedal. Not much room, and obviously nothing's supposed to be up behind that dash, so you're a bit tricky to get in, but you can do it. That was a injector. I'll see if I can find the injector actually and show you how we got that out. That was tight, that injector. This also had 4 injectors, but we were just waiting on a set of the diesel leak off pipes. So basically whatever that injector doesn't use on the high pressure end, it just sends it back to the diesel tank via the leak off pipes one of those, when I took them off, they were just brittle snapped, so wait on them. And the Team Valley disco, that actually broke down last night. Gary took it home, and obviously it's Gary's fault, Gary broke it. So I went and recovered him from Cramlington. I'll make sure I take that out of his wages. Little duke in for MOT, and then on there at the minute it really is death row, because that needs an engine. That's possible ECU. The Disco Sport behind this Disco 5 here, JDPS's Disco 5 is dumped in the car park. So the Disco Sport needs a gearbox. That's snapped the timing belt. There's a little mini there behind here. That is snapped the timing chain. This one here. So that's snapped the timing chain. It's going to need a, well, it's certainly going to need the cylinder head off, and it's going to need most of the valves. I'm pretty sure these damage the cams when they do snap the chains, so whether it'll get a second-hand engine or whether it'll just get the head off and all that work done, I'm unsure. And luckily there's nothing wrong with the Magnum, because I probably couldn't afford to fix that thing. We got rid of a couple of the bushes from the front of the container so you can see a bit more. And one of the Team Valley taxis, the old London taxis, you might have seen them, there's 4 or 5 of them around the northeast, all sticking up, parked up. One of those, probably the roughest one that doesn't drive the best, that'll get lifted on with a crane onto the top of the container, so hopefully it gives us a bit more advertising, signage, whatever it is. And the last but not least is the 57 plate, what's that, Citroen Relay, a friend of mine's truck, use it all the time, handbrake's a bit iffy, so we'll pull it in, get it adjusted up, give it a quick service while it's here, and I think that is the car park done. So we're not actually open tomorrow. Well, there's no staffing tomorrow. I've got somewhere to be in the morning, and then if Ed's in tomorrow afternoon, Ed's nodding, Ed is in tomorrow afternoon, me and Ed will try and get something done in here tomorrow as well. Not as much footage this week because, well, I messed up the GoPro this morning. That went completely sideways. I'll have to even go onto someone else's YouTube video to learn how to use one. Monday, didn't do anything because I was just sleeping and lazing around because it was a bank holiday. But we will get something done here tomorrow. Hopefully by the end of the day, those 2 ambulances will be gone. They are desperate for them back over the weekend, with it being New Year. People who go out once a year will be drinking too much, then they'll be falling over, and then they're going to need one of them to take them home. There's a couple to go back to the customers outside. They should be gone today. Hopefully start the new year with a fresh slate. It never happened as a fresh slate, mine, because Death Corner or Death Row will always have something on there. I think there's also a couple of cars in the overflow car park around the corner. But we'll look at them new year. But what I'll do is I'll get some work done this afternoon, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow afternoon. See you soon. Hi everybody, it's Friday afternoon, it's 3:30. I was off this morning because we're not actually officially open today, but really good friend of mine's pickup truck. We've done the handbrake on this car about 20 times, it never seems to be right. So this time I'll show you under here. So if I can get under here somehow. So there's a pivot point here. So basically the handbrake cable goes onto here and pulls this over. But where you can see this is full of copper slip here, this normally seizes, so that had actually seized on. So then when it seized on, it had come back out. That's the brake shoes, so these are, you got your brake disc there, where your brake pads sit on, and this big piece here, in there, that's your brake drum. So these shoes here open up and sit on this drum here for the handbrake only. And when that lever had stuck, it actually kept the handbrake on. It's always got a bit of weight on, it's quite a powerful truck, so it's just kept pulling it and pulling it and pulling it. It's wore the shoes away. Then we've ended up with no handbrake because it won't adjust up. And also when that pivot's been out, one of the cables on the other side came out, so you had no handbrake at all. So he's dropped it in. He needs it back for tomorrow, I think. So I've got some new shoes, one cable, and a pair of brake pads for the rear. I've just quickly checked it over as well, and the front pads is low. So we're gonna build this in, back up, new pads and everything in it. We'll do the front pads at the same time. We'll check the rest of the van over while it's jacked up. It hasn't long been in, so I think everything else will be all right, but handbrakes are really common for season up. They're quite the same setup as they use on the ambulance that we do. So we normally strip them down and grease them up on a service, but even in between services, they still seem to season this pivot. Really hard working truck this, so it needs to be right. Like I say, it's got a bit of weight on, so the last thing it needs is a handbrake coming off. The JDPS truck's just dumped there because lazy driver doesn't want to park outside. It's like a valet parking in here. And this is the Jaguar we're talking about for the injector. I haven't quite seen the injector yet, but it's just been dropped off. So have a quick look. Looks very, very similar to the ones they use in the BMWs. So that's your injector there. That's your lateral connector. And then your fuel goes into here. Obviously once that connector sends the signal, the trigger, the fuel then comes out here. You won't be able to see the holes in the end of there, but some tiny, tiny little pinholes like hair in the end of there. And that gives a perfect spray pattern. And you've got a little seal on here. And that drops down there, but unfortunately I have to take all the fuel rail off this side just to get the one out as it sits on top of here and holds the injectors in at the same time. So there's actually no clamp holds it in, it's just the fuel rail pushes down and holds that in. The new stat had turned up yesterday for this. So we thought it had been checked and it was the right one, and then so that's the old one and that's the new one. So if you want to play spot the difference, this one's only got 2 fixings and this one has a third one here. So we thought, right, okay, it's the wrong one. And there's also on the bottom of that one, there's a sensor in the pipe here. Nothing in this one. This is a genuine Ford unit anyway. Someone called up and said it's actually been a modified part. So you leave one of the plugs unplugged and you only use 2 with the fixings. Don't know why. So that could have been done yesterday, but we left it because I thought it was the wrong one, but actually it's a modified part, so that's all right. I think in the car park, the only thing I've got, which we'll get some video of it next week, or for next week's video even, is a nice, we've got the big door. The big door. A nice GLS 63 it is. There's a recovery just coming in there. Just leave it there, mate, aye? Just leave it there. There's a recovery. GLS 63, awesome car this. I've drove ML63s, but I've never drove one of these. Similar thing, just a massive big back end on it, and it's unbelievably windy outside. This one's got a tellies in the back. This is the V8 twin turbo model. Some people say it's good for about 170 mile an hour-ish, if you're on the Autobahn, possibly, or the A1. We'll get some footage of that, hopefully for next week's video. I also need to charge the batteries on the big truck because I went to go and use that the other day, and it is battery flattery. We'll leave them out there to put that van on the road so they don't get roped into it. I'm also going to service the M4. It's actually only done 1,200 mile, maybe slightly more, but it definitely hasn't done 3,000 mile this year. But by the by, the oil's still a year old, it'll need changing. I think it's also due for the diff oil that we changed. We'll change the gearbox oil. So I'll leave that there for next week. Hopefully the guys get a little bit of time. That's just been shifted there because once again, still had no time to get on that Ranger, but it is on the first job for Andy. So that will go back on there whether he likes it or not. He'll have to get a cylinder head off next week. I think we spoke about that van the other day. It came in for a non-start alternator issue, and now it's ended up where it needs a clutch. Two totally different faults. One fault was looked at, we went to go and pull it out, and the slave cylinder in the gearbox actually burst as we were pulling it out. Done millions of clutches on them rental masters, so it's not an uncommon thing. This video has been slightly shorter with it being a strange week, so I don't think we've done anything Monday because of we're off bank holiday. I think we've only done Wednesday, Thursday, Friday possibly, and then the GoPro footage I got, like I said the other day, just went to pot, didn't work at all. But I have looked into how to use it. Ed's shown us the ropes, and hopefully I've got it down to a T now. So I'm going to try and keep that camera in the car with me. So you will see a little bit difference in footage and obviously in audio. So obviously if I'm driving around the car, I don't drive around with the mic on. I literally just pick up the GoPro, obviously not while I'm driving, and see if I can get any footage while I'm out and about. It'd be good to get some footage in that big Merc, big powerful car, drives awesome, big 7-seater thing as well. I'm going to use that over this weekend, see if we can get any footage while we're out and about. There's nobody in here on Monday because I think that's the New Year's Day bank holiday, because it's on a Sunday. Now they've given us a bank holiday Monday. So we will be here Tuesday, bright and early, and that'll be the first day of us filming for next week's episode. When me and Ed have just looked this morning, we're on about, I think it was 6,900 or towards 7,000 views on the last video in 5 days, which is really good. That's what we want to see. You know, if we're getting more than 1,000 views a day, it might not be a lot to some of the bigger channels, but we really appreciate all those views of all yours. At the minute, in the lead, I suppose, is Nigel Wilson's favourite video, which is the Porsche getting the engine sort of took out, drilled all them studs out, put the new cams in, and getting that back on the road. Nigel did sort of call it. He said that it was going to be the best video and it was going to do the most views, and he was right. I could have swore that the Mustang would have kept up the pace because that was the second best video now, but it was the best at the time of the conversation. I think we were on 12 or 13,000 views in that one, but now the Porsche is on 14,000. Hopefully this one overtakes the two of them, and then hopefully the one after that gets better and better. That's all we want every week, better and better content. There's one last thing. There was someone left a comment the other day, whether it was a good comment, bad comment, I'm not sure. He was talking about my toolbox, so I just want to show you before we go. So he said that there was something about the snap-on toolbox, but it won't be full of snap-on tools, blah, 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 blah. I suppose he has caught us out a little bit slightly because there's a Milwaukee tool there. So if you want me, you can come down and have a quick look. We'll show you around, we'd love to. Any drawer you open, I'm sure that all you'll find is just snap-on, snap-on, snap-on. If we work on the best cars, we always try and use the best gear. I don't know why mechanics have got this weird habit of buying the same thing. All them screwdrivers are probably the same, but they're all different things. Once them ones are pretty much ruined, I'll move on to them ones, and I'll move on to them ones, and I'll just replace them. So, like I say, come down and have a good look at my toolbox. I'm sure you'll see plenty of snap-on gear. There was a couple of guys that asked about, they said they don't like the music, sort of playing music while we're talking. Remember that we're just learning exactly the same as everybody else. Put the music on. A few people did mention it and say that they didn't like it. Fine, we took it off. We've also changed a couple of things the way we do things, just because we do listen to the comments. You know, if somebody says something, we'll always listen. We notice that some of the same people are commenting every time, which is really good, which means you obviously like the videos, you keep engaging. That's fantastic. All I can say is that thank you very much for all the views for these episodes. Hope you have a really good new year. Don't get too drunk. Try and keep on the right track. Any problems with your cars, give us a call. Remember that these episodes will keep on coming. If you keep liking them and you keep viewing them and the views keep going up, then we'll keep making them. Anything you want new year, don't be shy. Just put it in the comments, tell us what you want. And if it's possible, we'll try. If you want us to look at some tools, if you're going to buy something and you think, well, maybe these guys have got it. So if you're going to buy Snap-on versus, I don't know, Milwaukee. So there's some people always swear by Snap-on. So that's my Snap-on impact gun, but it's actually in the drawer and it's probably been there a long time. I do love Snap-on. It's probably one of my favourite products. But these half-inch guns, don't rate them in the slightest. That's why it stays in the drawer and I use a Milwaukee one. Don't use that much Milwaukee gear, but I do rate the Milwaukee gun over this Snap-on one. If Snap-on wants to send me a brand new gun for us to try, I'll try it. Also, these Milwaukee do stuff that Snap-on doesn't do, so like a little rivet gun or whatever. If there's a car that you're going to buy, and we can get that car from We Buy Cars for More, and we'll give it a good hard test. Put it against something else you're going to buy. If you're going to buy a 5 Series over E-Class and you're not quite sure, good bits, bad bits, you ask the question and we'll try and find out for you. That's all I've got for this episode. Me and Ed's going to finish up here, head home. That's us done until Tuesday. We can't wait to see you in the new year. Remember, if you can just like, share, subscribe, push as much as you can. And that little notification bell, that's what we want you to click on, so every time we do a video, you hear about it. Also remember, we're not far away from that £500 giveaway. So once we get, I can see Ed's trying to tell me what to say here without saying it, so as soon as that happens, we'll give that £500 away, and then once we get to 10,000, we'll give that little Fiat, not 500, it's a Fiat Panda, 100 horsepower, we'll give that away. So I'll see you next year, everybody, and we'll see you next episode. Thanks very much, cheers.